Okay, so let's start with chapter number 2 today. So I hope you have attended chapter number 1. Okay. Things are clear for the chapter number 1. Today we'll be starting with chapter number 2. Yes. Chapter number 2 we'll be discussing with fiscal developments. Very important topic because fiscal is the topic which is important for every economics exam, whether you're preparing for economic services, economics optional, civil services, any chapter. I hope all of you got the summary of this economic survey, chapter wise summary. I hope all of you got the summary. If not, you can ask on the number given below. Okay. If you did not get the summary, you can ask on the number given below. Okay. Now, what is the most important thing here we need to understand is the chapter 2 for today is fiscal developments, because that's the most important thing post COVID. So since 2020, the economy is recovering. We have seen the prices in the stock market. We have seen prices in the bullion market like gold and silver and everywhere. The issue is with related to the fiscal development. Now, the most important thing is the gliding path that we will be discussing today. Gliding path in simple sense, from the high fiscal deficit to gradually reducing the fiscal deficit by the government. That's what gliding path. Okay. If you did not get the summary, you can contact on the number given below. Okay. Yes. Yes, Muskan. These PPTs will also be available at this number. Okay. You can take the PPT on this number, and if you are the part of our batch, you will get in your batch as well. Okay. Don't have to go here and there. Okay. So gliding path that we will be discussing, it means we are discussing here the stability through consolidation. If you have attended yesterday's lecture, the consolidation I told you. Okay, what's the meaning of consolidation in simple sense? Where we reduce the fiscal deficit by increasing the revenue and decreasing the expenses. That's the meaning of the word consolidation. Okay, I hope you have seen yesterday. Now, here the most important thing is we will discuss one by one, chapter by chapter. Okay, the lecture will go for like somewhere around 60 to 75 minutes. Okay, it means one hour, more than 1 hour. Okay. Yes. Now, here the key points that we are going to discuss here. Like, unlike many countries facing shrinking fiscal space, even the countries like developed countries, US and EU, they are struggling with huge amount of debt. Okay, but India has pursued a balanced fiscal strategy. Balanced fiscal strategy. Okay. Now, the fiscal consolidation in India has not been the austerity driven. It does not mean that we are cutting down important expenses. Austerity, in simple sense, it does not mean that we are cutting expenses, but we are making our expenses, the quality of those expenses better. Okay. Quality of those expenses better. Okay. I hope everyone understands that. Quality of expenditure means I told you yesterday that if you have 1,000 rupees in your pocket and you will invest in buying books, that's a quality of expenditure which is high. But if you are like filling the petrol and going on a long drive, is not the quality of expenditure. Okay. Okay. What exactly happening in the chat box? Can you tell me? क्या हो गया? क्या नहीं मिला? Admin, can you just address this? है ना? Those who are not getting anything, you will get everything. Don't worry. जो आपके लिए है वो आप ही के लिए है. I will not keep that. ठीक है? Admin, can you share the link of the summary? Okay, I've shared. So that thing in the chat box. Okay. The recording of this you will get in the current affairs batch. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Mansi, I've shared the link on the WhatsApp. Okay, so you can share in the chat box, and you can shut down the chat box for next 5 minutes, okay? So that we can make a foundation of this lecture. Today we have 48 slides. 48 slide detailed discussion. So 48 slides will take time better, है ना? तो थोड़ी देर के लिए आप चैट बॉक्स बंद कर दो मानसी, एंड यू जस्ट सेंड द लिंक ऑफ द समरी, ठीक है? ओके, थोड़ी देर के लिए चैट बॉक्स बंद है, आप यहाँ ध्यान देना, ठीक है? बिकॉज देर आर 76+ स्टूडेंट्स अटेंडिंग ऑन द जूम, ठीक है? तो काफी हलचल है यहाँ पर ठीक है? Okay, so I'm just restarting. This chapter majorly talks about shift in framing. Okay, what does it mean? Shift in framing in simple sense that fiscal policy is no longer, the government announced that, although not clearly stated, but government announced that fiscal policy is not just about deficit and ratio, etc. It's about credibility. Because if government's finances are credible, investment will come in to our country. Okay, you can see the recent deal, although the full document of India US deal is not been like out yet, but still we can see we got decent amount of deal, okay, from USA, where many big economists were saying, including Dr. Rajan, that what India got in return when Prime Minister Modi and Trump are friends. India got 50% tariff. Now this is a simple technique of top mango to banduk milegi. Are you getting my point? So here we need to understand that first they announced huge amount of tariffs and then suddenly they declined those tariffs. So 18% feels nice. Obviously it's better than 50, but worse than zero. Okay. But India did not argue with Trump. India said clearly. What India said? India said clearly, without saying, that if you are messing with us, we will not mess with any US president. You know the power that they have. It's not like we are surrendering. It's like we have to recognize the reality of the global order. In the past, we have seen many hostile US president as well. Even during the tenure of our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, we have seen very hostile president. What we have done at that time, we were just waiting 3 more years. Right now, on the same lines, in the past, we have done that. So it's not like we're just retaliating to the US, because we don't want to destroy the relationship between India and the US as a citizen, as a people. One person cannot define the historical relation between India and US. So where the other countries are struggling, India diversified its market from US. India said that एक दरवाजा बंद करोगे तो we'll go to another doors. Other doors we will access that. Simple. So India is exploring. India signed FTA with New Zealand as well, if you remember, in the month of November. Right now, the mother of all deals, EU, etc. So we have seen that our fiscal consolidation path is clear. We are working like a Google map. Google map क्या करता है कि अगर आप गलत रास्ता ले लेते हो तो गूगल मैप आपको रोक के थप्पड़ नहीं मारता. Google map doesn't slap you if you take a wrong turn. What Google map does is simply change the course of your path. Simple. So be like Google map, okay, in life as well. Okay. So India talks about credibility. India talks about composition. India talks about signaling to the global capital that we are still very much attractive. And you can see the amount of response that we got after those deals in the stock market as well. And we have seen decline in the gold and silver prices as well. That's the reason that people are now not very conservative in terms of their investment. So what India's priority is strengthening revenue mobilization, improve tax compliance, like we have seen. Compliance has been improving, the base has been widening, and reprioritizing spending towards capital expenditure. So the focus is on capex, capex, capex. And you can see आजादी के बाद से जो हमको ट्रेनें मिली, और right now we are seeing Vande Bharat, we are seeing bridges, we are seeing connectivity to destroy terrorism in the Jammu and Kashmir as well. So if youth will have some productive work, they will not move towards terrorism. That's the most important thing. Okay. So that's what infrastructure can be a game changer. Now here we'll see central government finances. Fiscal policy is a key anchor. Anchor means a ship. You must have seen anchor on the ship, on the boat. Okay. Of macroeconomic stability and confidence, this we have to see. Center has followed a predictable and credible fiscal path in recent years. It means when government shows predictability, investor gets confidence. Like Donald Trump, nobody takes him seriously. The reason is he is very unpredictable. He says one thing and the another thing on the other day. So it's not like he's very predictable. People are scared of because he is the US president, and currently we are living in American empire. We are currently living in American empire. पहले Roman empire था, then British empire आया, and then now we are living in American empire. You can see, if you don't believe me, if you don't agree with me, you see Venezuela. Now they are selling Venezuelan oil in within 1 month. So that is American empire, simple as that. Now this has helped anchor macroeconomic stability while balancing growth needs. Fiscal sustainability. Two things are very important. It means we don't want to compromise our growth by just cutting down expenses. How we'll go to fiscal sustainability? By increasing the quality of our expenditure. As simple as that. Okay. So in the world of geopolitics or geopolitics driven capital flow in India, geopolitics driven capital flow in India. If suppose this is India, capital flowing in India. And globally, we have index bonds as well. It means our bonds indexed with global. And India's fiscal stance has also become strategic variable, not just the macroeconomic one. Right now, politics is driven by economics. Everything is about resource economics. So जिसके पास resource है, वो hero. And whenever economy is stable, polity is stable. That is why you see Pakistan's economy never stable. So Pakistan polity never stable. China's economy is stable. That's why polity is stable. Same with our current government. It's a coalition government, if you realize. But the confidence this government gave is by far very different. Okay. I hope makes sense. Checking. Admin, now you can open the chat box. Okay. So that I can just interact. Yes. Do you understand the whole scenario? The whole scenario is clear to all of you. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now here the most important thing is, in the union budget of FY22, introduce a medium-term fiscal glide path. The target fiscal deficit was 4.5% of GDP by financial year 26. It means what currently we are living in. Okay. Avoiding rigid annual targets to maintain policy flexibility. It means simple. The targets must not be rigid, but it must be adjustable. Okay. According to the need of the economy. Okay. So here we can say 4.8% of the GDP in financial year 25. The financial year 26, it is budgeted as 4.4%. So you can see the target was 4.5 and we are well within the limit in 5 years post-COVID. Okay. If you see, it was 9.2% of GDP. So this we have never seen in the history. No government in India was able to achieve this fiscal deficit gliding path. And government is increasing the quality of the expenditure in terms of capex as well as reducing the deficits. So these are the two things where are very important. Okay. So fiscal deficit being treated as the strategic asset. It's not a numerical target alone. Okay. Now improvement in the revenue deficit also we have seen. So revenue deficit to GDP declined consistently. So it means the quality of expenditure is going up. It's the lowest level since financial year 2009, that was post subprime crisis. This has freed up more fiscal space for capital expenditure, because when revenue expenditure goes down, we have more space for increasing the capital expenditure. This indicates a structural improvement in the expenditure quality. It means less consumption, more investment. So if you get a salary, if suppose you get a salary of 20,000 rupees, if the whole 20,000 goes into consumption and next month you lose your job, what will happen? You will be in trouble. But instead, you are saving 10,000 rupees and you're spending 10,000 rupees. Then you are saving the future of yourself in case of any emergency. So that is more investment and less consumption. Okay. See, the debate that we will do at last, because if we start taking debatable topics, then the lecture won't be able to complete. Okay. So Bimal, Ponnu Bimal, what we will do is we will take all the questions at the last. Okay. Where I will be answering each and everything. Okay. Otherwise, you will ask me question, then I will answer something, then you will ask me any supplementary question, and the same thing will go. Okay. So you just copy and paste it somewhere and you can paste it again. Okay, at the end. Now we see the primary deficit trend, which is very important for India's interest payment. Okay. So Indian government is having huge amount of loans in the past, outstanding loans, what we call the past loans. So primary deficit to GDP ratio has also declined. So new borrowings are increasingly used to pay the past interest rates rather than to finance current government consumption. What does it mean in simple sense? I'll tell you. If you remember primary deficit formula, because here we are not discussing the concepts already been discussed in the class or will be discussing in the future. Okay. But here the most important thing is to understand that India's primary deficit is very important here to understand how India's expenditure quality is increasing. Okay. Bimal, your question will be covered in the next few slides, okay, where we will be discussing state finances. Okay. Now here, if you see deficit cut by half in like more than 5 years. So it was some kind of an achievement without choking the growth rate. Because you know that cutting the deficit is very easy, it's not difficult. But on the sacrifice of the growth, it's a big challenge. So that is why we have seen decline in the deficit and increasing in the capex, that is capital expenditure. Okay. So primary deficit generally is the signal of interest payments. Okay. And this is, we have seen in the newspaper and our current affairs discussion as well. In the last 12 months also, credit rating upgrades, like credit rating of Morningstar, if you see, and S&P, okay, R&I, these all upgraded to triple B. Okay. Credit rating is important for investors' confidence. It's like CIBIL score. When we have CIBIL score, when we take our personal loans, home loan, vehicle loans, etc. BBB, that was a major upgrade in approximately 20 years. So that also shows confidence of investor on Indian economy. Okay. So this you can see from the chart, trends in the deficit. So whatever I was saying in terms of numbers, you can see in terms of graph. Okay. So here you can say revenue is green, fiscal deficit is orange, and primary deficit is this. Okay. So this has been going down. Okay. Here you can see non-debt capital receipt. It means government's earning from non-debt. It means not a loan income. Then capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. So again, you can see that it is in a healthy position. So here you can see the orange one. We have seen the increment in that. Okay. Increment in the account. Now when we talk about revenue mobilization. Okay. So revenue buoyancy and fiscal consolidation. Now tax buoyancy with a structural depth is very important. Like in direct taxes, we have seen strong growth in income tax. Okay. Here IT means income tax. Personal income tax collection. The reason were three. Okay. One is formalization, second is compliance, and third one is expansion of the tax base. So formalization of taxation, it means many sectors coming into formal sector so that government can take note of that and can make them liable. Next is compliance, where compliance improved because of technology. So no human to human involvement in the taxpayers structure. Everything is directed with the portal. Okay. And then this is tax base. It means less number of tax, but by paying more number of people. So if, for example, in your college days, if you remember the tax base, if somebody is, for example, understanding about country, like for any event, for anything, you must have done that. So for example, if there are 10 people in the college and contributing 50 rupees each. So 10 people, 50 rupees each. But now, for example, if you collect 20 people, it means the per head burden will come down and will get the same amount of collection. Okay. So here that's the same thing happening when the broad base happened. It means more number of people, less burden. Okay. F is formalization, Vrinda. Buoyancy means, in simple sense, when economy grows, tax revenue grows. So it's a good thing. Okay. That's the meaning of buoyancy. What does that negative capex shows in the last slide graph? Let me see. This is not negative capex. This is non-debt capital receipts. Okay. This is non-debt capital receipts. Non-debt capital receipt means whenever government takes loan, it goes into government's revenue. And capital receipts, the money coming. But whether we take loan or we earn, all comes under government's income. Okay. So non-debt means earnings, government's earnings. Like you will get money in your account by two methodologies. Whether you will earn that or you will borrow that. Okay. Are you getting my point? So whether your parents will transfer money into your account, it's a borrowing account, you can understand. You have not earned that. But the salary coming in your account is the earning. Okay. Got it, Lakshmi? So reasons for revenue buoyancy, you can say domestic growth momentum. Okay. Tax policy reforms like rate rationalization, we have seen in GST. Base is widening, more people coming under it. Tax administration reforms, so use of technology like GST and portal, compliance improvements. So these are the things help in increasing the formalization. Okay. E-invoicing is one of the answer for technology use. So survey stresses that quality of revenue matters more than the headline growth. Like monthly GST collection consistently was above 1.6 lakh crore throughout the current financial year. Okay. S is Where I have written S? It's not. Is F, is C, is B. Okay. So formalization, compliance, and text base. Nothing is S. See, don't write anything, just listen. Okay. If you write, everything is written in the survey. I'm not writing anything beyond the survey. I'm just giving examples beyond survey. Like I said, I gave example of 1.6 lakh crore is the GST collection every month consistently this financial year. In 1 month, we crossed 2 lakh crore as well. But this was the average. Now, this I've taken from current affairs. But the things that I'm writing, the things I'm underlining, the things are on PPT are all from economic survey. So don't make notes, okay? Just listen carefully. Just listen carefully. Are you getting my point? Clear hai? Okay. Next is rise in revenue receipts. So you can see the data, the figure is clearly mentioned. Pre-pandemic average was this. Post-pandemic average is this. So you can see we are not comparing before 2014. Okay, I hope you can understand. What I'm saying that what government is doing good, we should appreciate. What government is not doing, we should criticize with a proper solution. That's what exam wants from your side. Simple sense. Now you compare this. This is rise in revenue receipts. So the income of the government is also increasing from day-to-day activities. So this indicates a structural strengthening in revenue mobilization. So government is getting good and decent revenue, not only dependent on debt. Now growth in gross tax revenue as well. So you can see here it is clearly mentioned. Okay. That increased from approximately 10.8% of GDP pre-pandemic to 11.5% GDP post-pandemic. So you can see gross tax revenue also increasing. Higher tax collection have been the main driver for revenue improvement. So you can see tax collection increased without increasing the tax rate. Okay, so that's a decent progress, because increasing the rate will increase the revenue is a different thing. But when GDP is increasing and the revenue also increase, the tax receipts also increase, that's an appreciable thing. Okay, so here you can see pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and this is in financial year till 2025, FY25. Okay, so here we can say the share of direct taxes in total tax. So when the share of direct tax increases in the total tax, it means it's more progressive. More progressive means those who are earning more, they are paying more. And that's a stable tax structure, because indirect tax, like for example, 18% GST is equal for everyone. Those who will avail that service, they will pay. Whether it is Mukesh Ambani, whether it is you, whether it is me, or whether it is anyone. So that is why it is called as proportional or regressive in certain cases. But when direct tax increases, it reflects a shift towards a more progressive and stable tax structure. So revenue depends on income and profit rather than consumption. Okay, this is very important. It means if consumption is moving at a faster pace, government will collect more, but that will not generate a real value in the economy. Okay. So capex act as important thing, and that we have seen in other areas as well. Now here we can see how it is, because ITR filers are increased from 6.9 to 9.2 crores. So you can say ITR filing is there. Like when you buy a car, okay, when you buy a car, companies will charge 1% TCS, that is tax collected as source. Irrespective of the income, when you file ITR, you will get this as a refund. Okay, you will get as a refund. Why government is doing this? because to formalize the transaction. Okay. So the base is increasing. If you are not filing ITR, you will not get this refund in simple sense. Okay. So on the same line, this is one of the example. Now drivers of tax base like digitalization, data machine, now greater formalization of the economy. So like startups operating under Ministry of Corporate Affairs, so they have everything audited. Growth in salaried and professional income as well. So those who are giving professional services, that is also increasing. And behavioral and nudge techniques like encouraging voluntary compliances. So if compliances are easy, people will do that. If the tax structure is so complex, then people try to evade that. So that shows a structural deepening of the tax system. I hope you can understand. We can say not exactly with ITR, but with formalization. Okay, Ravi. So here we can see the graph. Graph is visible: corporate tax, non-corporate tax, personal income tax, security transaction tax, etc. etc. Okay, so this is a graph I have taken from economic survey. Now we'll move towards understanding the trends. So trends, we have seen that personal income tax, this was the rise, corporation tax, this was the rise. So you can see the rise is there. By November 25, major direct taxes reached 53% of the budget estimate. So it means revenue collection is on the point. Slightly lower than this in the same period, but yes, we will recover by the end of March. Moderation partly due to tax relief measures and concession given. So that is why the moderation we have seen in the rates. Okay, it means the reason behind low collection till November, but by the end of the March, everything will go to like near the target. Okay. Strong performance of non-corporate taxes like personal income tax, etc. Like non-corporate tax collected. Pre-pandemic, it was 2.4% of GDP. Post-pandemic, 3.3% of GDP. So further, this is the expected one. This shows that household incomes, formal employment, and reporting compliance have strengthened over time. So although these three things are there, in some cases it is household income, in some cases it is more formalization. People are reporting their income. And then compliance system, because it's getting easy. पहले ये था इतने exemption, standard deduction ये वो. In the new tax regime, it is flat. If you are earning 12 lakh, 75,000 you will get as a standard deduction and no tax till 12 lakhs. That is the new tax system. So it's simple. You don't even need chartered accountant to file your ITR. Okay. So average tax buoyancy of 1.8 during this, it means tax collection grew by 1.8 times faster than the nominal GDP. This is the meaning of, somebody asked me buoyancy, this is it. So tax collection grew 1.8 times than the GDP. So if GDP grew by 1, buoyancy, it means the tax grew by 1.8. Okay. So rising incomes in the formal sector, that's the reason. Better enforcement and data analytics, so better reporting will always give good indicators to the government. Expansion of taxable base, not just higher rates. Okay. So it's not like government is increasing the rates, although government is decreasing the rates. We have never seen huge amount of reduction in the income tax ever. But this time we have seen that. So government is reducing the tax rate and increasing the base, so that government will get same amount of money in government's kitty, but individual burden can come down. Okay, is it clear, everyone? Just write clear in the chat box. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Now, corporate tax trends. Corporate tax buoyancy has been close to unity in recent years. Unity means 1 rupee 1 increase in the GDP, the tax collection will also increase by 1 rupee. That is close to unity. Now, collection growing roughly in line with the nominal GDP. That reflects stabilization, recovery of corporate profitability after the pandemic shock, and RBI data shows profit of listed company rose from 2.5 trillion to 7.1 trillion. Listed companies mean listed on stock market. Okay. That resulted in over 100% increase in the corporate tax collection over the period. So you can see 100% means almost double, more than double. So that's a trend that government has been supporting corporates post-pandemic. Corporates are very important for our Atmanirbhar Bharat. If you have seen Venezuela, what happened in Venezuela? So we should be very much Atmanirbhar in everything, in terms of our economy, in terms of our defense sector, etc. Income tax relief measures. That's budget 25-26. Major relief to middle income taxpayers. No personal income tax up to 12 lakhs, as I told you. 75,000 is a standard deduction for salaried individuals. Okay. Rationalization of tax slabs, rates, and TDS provision. Like, for example, TDS is tax deducted at source. So, if suppose, for example, I have to pay rent. Previously, on rent, the TDS limit was 2.4 lakhs. Now it has been increased to 6 lakhs. It means if you are giving 50,000 rent, no need to deduct TDS. So again, I can say it boosted disposable income, consumption demand, and tax morale. So that again helped. Now, new Income Tax Act of 2025 enacted on this date, applicable for the year. This key objectives are like simplification of provisions, structural clarity, greater stability and continuity in tax policy, and expected to improve ease of compliance and reduce litigation. Matlab unnecessary ke there is no issues like it should go to certain litigation tribunals, etc. So when you have less human interaction, the compliance is easy. Like, for example, in order to file GST, I don't have to meet any GST professional. For the same is also income tax. Previously, it was not there. Previously means before like 25-30 years. Okay. So new income tax is very much important here in terms of understanding. Okay. Now GST, gross GST collection, you have seen at this 17.4 lakh crore. You can see April to December, almost we can say 1.6 lakh. That is in 9 months. This is it. So 6.7% year-on-year growth. So GST collection is increasing. It means in India, if buying and selling goes up, government will get more GST. And more GST means more revenue. More revenue means more transaction, more money is moving in the economy. Okay. So although percentage growth appears lower due to soft inflation. If inflation is high, this is high. Absolute collection have it multiple records as well. What's the absolute collection? I already told you. If you see GST taxpayers increase from 60 lakh in this to over 1.5 crore. So you can see GST numbers also shows the growth in the economy. Indicates widening participation of businesses in the formal economy. People are taking GST numbers. Like if you ask me, I have 3 GST numbers. So from that 1.5 crore, 3 is I am contributing. E-way bill volumes. E-way bill in simple sense, when goods leave from one place to another, if they reach a certain limit, they have to issue e-way bill on prior to dispatching those goods. That also grew 21% year on year. So you can see that also signaled a robust goods movement in the country, compliance under GST. So whatever is moving on the roads, you can see it is strongly visible to the authorities as well. It means, simple sense, making economy formal will help the government to track, to take the data, to ensure compliance, and formalization helps all the parties. So strong correlation between GST collection and GDP growth. So correlation is 0.92. That's huge. Highlight GST role is broad-based and economy-linked tax. So when economy grows, GST grows. We have seen in the month of September as well. Okay, huge record GST collection. Okay, is it clear? This is GST collection. You can see in terms of graph, year-on-year growth on the green side, the right-hand side. Okay. ठीक है, and the rest of the things here. So gross collection in lakh crores, so you can see here, and here you can see the growth. These graphs will be easy to understand after the lecture. Okay, everyone just write clear in the chat box. I hope you are awake. मजा आ रहा है ना? Are you enjoying the lecture? Enjoying, boring? मजा आ रहा है? थोड़ा सा फिस्कल है, बट थोड़ा चैट बॉक्स में मोमेंटम बनाओ. अभी मैं आपको स्टोरी सुनाऊंगा. I'll narrate the story. You'll enjoy the story. Okay, थोड़ा हम चैप्टर पढ़ लेना पहले. डेटा हमारा समझ में आएगा तभी स्टोरी समझ में आएगी. ओके, यस. Because it was announced in the last budget, Ravani. It was announced in the last budget. Non-tax revenues. Stability backed by strong dividend growth. Dividend, you understand? It means the money that government earns or any corporate earns by having profit. Okay. So non-tax revenue has emerged as quite but steady pillar of fiscal support for the central government recent years. While its overall size related to GDP remained broadly stable, composition has improved significantly, driven by surge in dividends and profit from public institutions. Okay, like for example, ONGC. Okay, listen carefully. You will understand this slide. ONGC will get certain project in, suppose for example, in Russia. ONGC is, am I audible? People are saying not audible. Thank you. So ONGC got a project in Russia to extract natural gas. Okay. If suppose, for example, this is it. Natural gas. Now this natural gas ONGC will sell in India or abroad, and ONGC will earn a profit. Now, since ONGC is the profit making PSU for the government of India, then this PSU will share the dividend with government of India, and that become non-tax revenue. Isn't it? It means the government getting income without imposing the tax. Okay. So this is it about non-tax revenues. Now, surge in dividends and profit we have seen. So the most important development has been sharp rise in the dividends and the profits, grew 70% annually during last 2 years. RBI surplus transfer we have seen 2.68 lakh crore, because RBI is also under government of India, and if RBI earns surplus transfer by increasing the value of their assets, they will also transfer that money to the government. Okay, so this was 27% higher than the 2.19 lakh crore transferred in the previous financial year. Okay, previous year. Strong central bank income, like income from foreign exchange operations and interest earnings boosted this payout. So we have foreign exchange reserves, but those foreign exchange reserves are also invested, because nobody, the money is lying idle, money is flowing. So RBI's reserves are also flowing. If they are increasing, they are getting increment, they share with the government. Okay. Public sector banks and financial institutions, so their balance sheet improved because corporate balance sheet also improved. Lower NPS, higher profitability. So again, government got the payout from these as well. So as a result, dividends and profit rose from around 1 lakh crore to over 3 lakh crore in recent years. So you can see the government got money in terms of non-tax revenue for capex as well. Okay. So this we have seen the table. Table is pretty simple. Year by year, you can see here on the left hand side, you have all the items, and here you can see the numbers are growing. Okay. Then role of CPSC, Central Public Sector Enterprises. So that is 3 offer for sale, that is Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, Bank of Maharashtra, Indian Overseas Bank, and remittances from specified undertaking of UTI. Then investment infrastructure and investment trust based monetization means selling the share. Okay. Okay. This shows a shift from one-time strategic sale towards a structured and market-friendly monetization channel. In simple sense, monetization means selling some portion of those PSUs to increase their value. It's like same how private sectors sell shares in the stock market, shares to the private investors, etc. So that is how the equity monetization and asset happened in CPSE's performance. Okay. So in simple sense, this has increased the expenditure quality, okay, of the government. How can India reduce fiscal deficit without reducing welfare or growth spending? By making quality of expenditure and increase in the tax revenue. Okay, बेटा, यही मैं आपको पिछले आधे घंटे से 1 घंटे से समझा रहा हूं. The question you asked explained in last 40 minutes. Okay, increment in the tax revenue, है ना, increment in the quality of expenditure, so deficit went down, less loans, more non-tax revenue, non-debt capital. It means सरकार चाहे तो बहुत कुछ कर सकती है, बस ये है कि सरकार चाहे. ठीक है. So progress in strategic disinvestment. Strategic disinvestment has moved forward gradually and selectively. Like since 2016, 36 CPSE received in principle approval for strategic disinvestment. A strategic disinvestment means not selling PSUs, but selling those where government can increase their income by providing the value as well. Because when private sector investment will also come under CPSEs, then efficiency will come up. Technology transfer is there. Okay. 13 transaction completed, others at different stages of processing. Okay. So this is in joint ventures, dilution, exit, etc. NTPC disinvestment, divestment from Utility Power Tech Limited. So this also has been done by the government. So these are the certain examples mentioned in the survey. Okay. Now constraint, what are the constraints for further equity monetization? Okay, I hope you understand these words now. So in order to do more monetization, what are the constraints? It means what are the roadblocks? कौन से ऐसे restrictions हैं वो हम समझेंगे. ठीक है. So under the Companies Act, a government company must have more than 51% of government ownership. However, in 30% of listed CPSE, government ownership is already below 60%. So leaving a little headroom for further OFS. While retaining the majority status. So effective control in corporate governance often requires only 26% state to block special resolutions. But yes, according to our Companies Act, government company must have 51% ownership. So we have less room because like in SBI also it is approximately 58% as far as I remember. Okay. So this creates a policy dilemma, retaining formal government company status or unlocking more value via equity dilution. Because if you don't create value, these PSUs will be loss making, will eat up taxpayers' money. So dilution is good, but here the status is important. So we have to choose. It means the government has to take this decision. So reforms also suggested, like to strengthen non-debt capital receipts going forward. The survey proposes option A. So what survey proposes? Because this you will get a question either in Indian Economic Service exam or economics option. You will get this. है ना? So redefine government company. They can change that. Amend the Companies Act and allow government ownership as 26%. Okay. Or government retains control, like strategic control, special resolution are always in the hands of government, and operation can be privatized. Okay. So this enables equity monetization without full privatization. So government will have the control, major blocking, but the efficiency of private sector will come in. Okay. Thank you, Aditi, for helping in the chat box. Option B, phased exit without legal change. It means you do gradual dilution below 51%, even towards full privatization. So post disinvestment, what will happen? Professionally managed firm can operate, and with dispersed ownership, with strong governance and succession system. It means how succession will happen from government to private. Dispersed ownership, how the ownership can be dispersed between private and the government sector, and you can give this task to professionally managed firm, those who can manage professionally with 100% accountability on the targets. Okay. Now this is trends in expenditure. Very important, because here we will move towards state government's role. Here we'll understand more about it. Okay. So trends in expenditure. India's fiscal consolidation in recent years has not relied only on cutting deficit. It's not like cutting deficit only, but on improving the quality and composition of government spending. That's what we have been discussing. So the shift from consumption heavy expenditure towards asset creating capital investment, making revenue spending more efficient and targeted. So two things are there. So you can see expenditure pattern, factor influencing expenditure trend, identifying spending habits, projecting future expenditure, and case studies. Now, union government prioritize capital expenditure over revenue expenditure, that we have seen in the newspapers as well throughout the year in survey itself. But how? So you can see revenue expenditure has declined significantly at the share of GDP from this to this. So that's a very, very good news. Nature of its revenue spending is salaries, pension, interest payment, defense revenue expenditure. Okay, because these are hard to compress. Like this is very difficult to compress. Government focused on rationalizing discretionary components, especially subsidies. So when see the subsidies are now linked with performance. You will not get unlimited subsidies. So it's always like capex versus populism. Okay, I hope you can connect with that. Capex versus populism. Subsidies are popular. People love that, and government gets bored, vote. But what about the future generation? They get loan, debt, burden, etc. Because subsidy does not create value. In the short run, subsidies are good to support. Like for example, Indian exporters need subsidy right now because the tariff war is going on everywhere. They need subsidies. But those who don't need subsidies, don't give them. Salaries cannot be reduced because the government employees are there. So salaries can be rationalized. Pension, new pension scheme. So no permanent pensions. You have to contribute to your pension. Interest payments is the revenue expenditure of the past loans that government took. And defense revenue expenditures, you can see defense mobilization. Whole troop moving from western border to eastern border, you can say. Okay. So decline in major subsidies, 3 subsidies: food, fertilizer, and petroleum. Petroleum, we are not giving any subsidies. Okay. So fell from 1.9% GDP to 1.2%. Our budgeted even lower. So decline came from better targeting. How? Jandhan Aadhar Mobile. Fake beneficiary government is removing. Like in Manrega also, the name changed, but the most important thing, that government included biometrics to remove fake beneficiaries. So that saved cost. It means without reducing, just by better targeting, better rationalization, and phasing down pandemic era support. So the support given in pandemic, phased down, gradually withdrawing, because pandemic went. Now economy is coming to the new normal. Efficiency gains rather than the withdrawal of welfare. See, this is what I said. Gain in efficiency rather than withdrawal of welfare. So food security commitments continue. You can see NFSA is there. Large beneficially covered, maintained. No changes in that. National food security still. Okay. Now DBT help, leakages, ghost beneficiary, duplication, diversion, and that leakage worth of lakhs of crore. being curtailed. I'm not saying corruption removed, but yes, by large, the leakages have been plugged in. Obviously, it's not a one-day thing. It will take time. Now, survey flags inefficient cross subsidy, like railway. You understand cross subsidy? Everyone, yes or no? Cross subsidization. Okay. So, suppose, for example, going one place to another, you need 100 rupees, whether it is goods or passengers. So, in order to give subsidy to passengers in railway, they give subsidy. So, suppose 60 rupees, but that difference of 40, they will charge from freight. Freight means where goods are moving. So passenger looks train tickets cheaper, but freight increases. So survey flags inefficient cross subsidy. Like freight is overpricing to subsidy passenger fares. But freight is all what we are paying as well. Like goods coming, agricultural goods, atta, dal, chawal, sabji. Everything comes from train as well. So ultimately we are paying with the inflation. Power sector again, industrial user. So commercial meter charging more, agriculture user and domestic users giving subsidies. So if suppose, for example, the production, the companies, if government is charging more for their power, that comes into the cost and that cost comes into the MRPs. So ultimately, customers are bearing that cost. Okay. Like for example, Trump is shouting tariff, tariff, tariff. Trump thinks the solution to every problem is tariff. But you know who is paying tariff? Who is really facing the brunt of tariff? These American citizens. They were getting cheaper Indian products previously, but now they have to pay. So consumers facing the burden of tariff. Government got the cut. Government got the revenue from nowhere. So is the people are happy that Trump is posting tariff, yes, making America great again, but who is bearing the cost? Is the consumers. So these distorts prices. That's what it is. Reduce competitiveness, crowd out investments, and reform improve fiscal efficiency and resource allocation. Okay, so this is the revenue expenditure, pay and allowances, pension, major subsidy, etc. So you can see the government is rationalizing but not reducing the welfare. This is the, in simple sense, you can say, quite visible. Public financial and management reforms. So efficiency improvements also came from how money is released and spent, not just how. Okay. So just in time, government moved from bulk advance transfer to real time need-based systems. So SNA spurs for centrally sponsored scheme, treasury single account for central sector schemes. Centrally sponsored scheme का मतलब होता है it will be taken care by the state government, but funds will be given by center. Center sector schemes means all the things will be done by center. Okay. So that reduce idle balances parked with agencies, lower the borrowing cost and transparency. It means the same way when you buy a house, okay, bank does not release all the amount. Bank release according to the progress of the construction. Okay. So technology in welfare delivery like PDS system, route optimization, okay, like digital tracking is also there, reduce logistics cost, leakages, etc. Logistics, why it is important? Because the whole country is trading electronically, e-commerce. So logistics you have to improve. Now capital expenditure. The survey highlighted a structural shift from center spending to capex. We have seen multiple times. Again, the chapter revolves around the same thing. Okay. So long-term scaling capex, very important. Capital expenditure has risen from average this of GDP to this. This we have seen. Capex now accounts for much larger share of total expenditure compared to earlier years. This is again a positive thing. And this is again steadily increase in the total spending, shows improvement in the quality of expenditure. Now, this is a sectoral composition of capital expenditure. So you can say capital outlay remains focused on core infrastructure with diversification emerging. Like, for example, when you build a flyover, you see the rate of land nearby goes really high. Economy increases, economic activity, I mean. So road and transport, you can see, continue to receive largest allocation because connectivity is the most important thing. Then railways, defense, all got upgrade, transfer to the states, telecommunication, because internet is like roti kapda makan ke baad you need internet. Housing and urban affairs, so all urban infrastructure, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay. Now, roads and railways together still account for over half of total capex. So you can see government is focusing on connectivity, faster growth and transfers to the states, urban sector. Now you can see how many people have used Vande Bharat. Okay, just traveled in Vande Bharat. You just write me in the chat box. Vande Bharat shows connectivity nearby areas, nearby towns. Okay, and it's a brilliant thing because you get reservation every time. In Vande Bharat, you get reservation very easily. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you agree? Like in Vande Bharat, you get easily the reservation, unless until it is a very busy route. And when there is a busy route, government keep on adding bogies. They've increasing the length of the Vande Bharat as well when there's a high demand. So that provides connectivity. People have so many options. Right now, people are going on a road trips. Have you seen that? The increment in the road trips in last 5 years. Previously, people were scared of going because of the bumpy roads and all. But right now, if you see, like I personally saw the roads in Rajasthan, roads in Gujarat, they're phenomenal. They are phenomenal. So everywhere the corridors we are building, the flyovers that we are building, making fast driving a safe. Although there are certain issues with the civic sense, driving wrong side, a lot of things are there, but yes, we keep on improving those. I think technology is the only solution for that. Like in Chandigarh, I used to live in Chandigarh as well in my childhood days. So I saw Chandigarh is very strict in terms of traffic rules. Ravali also told me about Hyderabad. Okay, so I'll be visiting Hyderabad in the March. I'll see personally, but she told that Hyderabad is also from, yes, last Sunday I was in Chandigarh, last Monday, I guess. So that is the most important thing that you need to understand. Okay. Then rising importance of center state fiscal transfer. Now this is very important. This is the risk zone that is emerging. Okay. This is the risk zone that is emerging. Why state matters more now? Because state finances are the problem. State finances are the problem. है ना, ई चालान बिल्कुल सही रहता है. Even in Chandigarh, if you get 4 or 5 challans, I guess they cancel the license. है ना Divya? If you agree with me, if you take a wrong U-turn, even I remember I went to Chandigarh in 2007. At that time, there was huge challan on U-turns. Like you cannot take short U-turn. You have to obviously go to the roundabout. So that is there. Yes. So no people involvement, because when people will be involved, police wala अकेला corrupt नहीं है, आप भी corrupt हो. When there's a ticket of 800 rupees, you give 200 rupees just to. तो corrupt कौन हुआ? पुलिस वाला तो हुआ ही, आप भी हुए, दोनों हैं. Both are corrupt. Corruption एक हाथ से थोड़ी ना होता है. ठीक है. Scale of transfers. Total transfers more than doubled from this to the state. Okay, as a share of GDP, transfer rose from 5.7 to 6.9% over the same period. The component of transfers are like this. Okay, so state share in central changes, that is largest component. Because center तो कुछ है नहीं ना, center is like, है ना, it is not. Center is the collection of the states. Central sponsored scheme, finance commission grants, other grants, loans. tax devolution, it means money coming from center to the state. Okay. Reinforcing fiscal federalism. Yes. Even in Indore, Jagriti, personally, I have not experienced that. People drive recklessly. They're like two-wheelers are like, jaan le lo, but jaane do. That's what I've seen. For FY26, the 15th Finance Commission recommended 1.48 lakh crore in grants. So revenue deficit grant for fiscally weaker states, local bodies like rural and urban, health sector grants to like go for like in order to prepare for another pandemic. Okay. Disaster management grants, like we have seen, I think in 2024, a disaster was there in Wayanad in the rainy season. If you remember anyone from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka region, remember Wayanad floods and all. But this year we have seen in the Punjab, like 2025, floods in Punjab. Okay. So disaster management grants are also there. Okay. These grants are crucial because their growth impact depends on how states spend them. Okay, not just the amount received. So grants are obviously related to the spending quality. If you are spending somewhere which is not related, you will not get that in the next time. Okay. Yes, जागृति है ना ठीक सो बस खत्म ही है चैप्टर हो गया ऑलमोस्ट borrowing flexibility given to the states. So states got the flexibility. Okay. What kind of flexibility in simple sense? The balanced growth needs discipline. So if you're not disciplined, you will not get funds. That's a very, very good step taken by Finance Commission as well. Normal borrowing limit is 3% of GSDP. Net borrowing is a ceiling. So they have posted a ceiling because every state government is in debt. Okay. Extra borrowing limit is this linked to implementation of power sector reforms. Okay. If you link that, you can go up to this. Additional borrowing equal to NPS pension contribution. So to correct accounting differences between old and the new pension, then also extra borrowing limit is there. These incentives to push a state towards structural reform, not just higher spending. So it's not just spend, but go for structural reform so that system can improve. Okay. Now this is the emerging fiscal pressure in the state. So investors are generally not seeing only general or central government borrowing or risk. Investors are seeing now general government finances. It means general government means both center and the states. Okay. So state level fiscal behavior also affects sovereign bonds cost for India. So deficit are corrected after COVID, but pressures are rising again. If you see fiscal deficit trend, it's rising in terms of state. And states in revenue surplus from FY19. Combined revenue deficit rose from 0.1% to 0.7%. Okay. Major reasons: slower revenue growth, expansion of unconditional cash transfer schemes like we have seen during election. They distribute cash. Although I'm against distributing cash to the people, populist schemes, but during this time when tariff and everything was there, these things helped Indian economy in terms of having rural disposable income. Otherwise, it would have increased in the migration. Migration means pressure on urban resources. So that held, but obviously it cannot support unconditional cash transfers. Okay. Yes, Bihar, uske pehle Maharashtra, uske pehle Madhya Pradesh. So every government, whether it's BJP, Congress, what they are doing, just for their next 5 years, they are keeping all of us in debt. But this time, these unconditional cash transfer helped the economy in increasing the disposable income, especially in the rural areas. This is a state Revenue composition still largely reliant on own taxes, but overall revenue capacity has weakened related to GDP. Own tax revenue, you can see 50%. Central share is 32%. Grants and aid, significant but declining. Own non-tax revenue, very small in terms of share. Although after GST, lot of indirect taxes also subsumed under GST. So that's why states are also struggling. But total revenue receipts fell in this scenario. Okay, are you getting my point? This is the deficit indicators of the state. Now this is capital expenditure protected. So state capex, it means they're fixed, provided a limit. Okay, special assistance to states for capital investment. This is SASCI. So despite revenue stress, capital spending has not collapsed. So that's a good sign. Good sign that we have seen in terms of spending and all. Okay. So this is vital when we see the performance and everything. Okay. Now, most important thing here is lower income states. It means the states where income is comparatively low. They rely more on this SASCI. So regional convergence is there. It means inequality will reduce with this action. Like providing 50-year interest-free loans, only a capital expenditure, allocation increased sharply to 1.5 lakh crore in this. State capex to stable this would fall sharply, okay, on this. So you can say it is not that difficult, but yes, states are doing that. Okay. Now this is composition of central government's debt. Okay. 2-3 slides are left. Those who are wondering कब खत्म होगा, है ना? मजा आ रहा है ना, मतलब चीजें समझ में आ रही है ना, इट्स नॉट बोरिंग ना, एंजॉइंग, है ना? इतना डिटेल में आपको कहीं नहीं पढ़ाया जाएगा, मैं ऑनेस्टली बता रहा हूँ. पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ोगे ना, देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग. When you read the whole chapter after my lecture, you will understand everything. So the protocol of the lecture is read the summary first. If you do not have the summary, you can go on this number and you will ask your request. Second thing is attend the lecture and the next day you read the chapter. आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा, आप पढ़ते जाओगे. Okay? चलो बढ़िया. Thank you for your feedback. You guys are enjoying. Yes. Now marketable securities, dated securities, T-bills from the bulk, itni liability hai. So that's the composition. Composition means the components in central government debt. If 100% is the debt, then how much is what? So marketable securities, dated securities, long-term, T-bills, short-term. Okay. This structure allows better transmission of domestic macro condition into borrowing cost. So government is having a decent composition. Why? Because it is all marketable security, which is majorly domestic, not international. Like other economies, they were dependent on international borrowing as well. But right now, Indian economy is dependent on its own debt. Okay. Now, domestic borrowings dominance reduces vulnerability to external shocks. That's what I said. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. Yes, every day this class will be there except for Sunday. Okay, 16 chapters, 16 hours. Okay. So this is center's debt trajectory. Okay. Now this is the risk profile. So rollover risk, it means refinancing the risk. Okay. For the fresh issuance, 19 years is the only 27% of debt matures in next 5 years. So rollover requirement is 5.4%. It means that is manageable refinancing pressure is there. Everything is manageable. Refinancing means on top up. Like you take a home loan, then you want to vehicle loan. So you ask the same bank to give more money for your vehicle. So they will give that. Okay. Then interest rate risk. Debt is predominantly fixed rate. So that is why there's no floating rate. Debt share is only 4% of debt where the floating rate is there. So ensures predictability of interest payment. So interest payment will not rise suddenly because we have fixed rate debt predominantly. External debt is very small, 2 to 3%. Okay. mostly multilateral institutions on concessional terms, like World Bank and other. Shields public debt from exchange rate volatility. So if dollar rupee rate changes, does not mean that we have to pay more. If rupee depreciate, we have to pay more external debt. But multilateral institutions generally give loan on concessional terms, plus not very market linked. Okay. So this is the general government debt. If you see, general government debt rose post pandemic because the investment was required. Now in the consolidation path, India has reduced general government debt to GDP by 7%. That's a very huge improvement that we have seen. Okay. So again, you can see that since 2020, it is there. So this contrasts with many peer economies where their debt remains elevated. See, in India, we have so many skilled bureaucrats on top. How bad you can think about bureaucrats, but they really work. When political will is there, we have so many talented people. Like in our Indo-US deal, it's a big deal. That's why it took time. S. Jaishankar and Ajit Doval both played a very important role in that deal behind the curtain. Obviously, these people will never get credit in the public. That's an unfortunate thing. But yes, they are not even accountable as well. Like apart from the minister, I'm talking about advisors. Okay. Now, state debt sustainability is assessed during debt to state GDP and interest payment to revenue receipts. So running cost must be covered from running receipts. So debt to GSDP is 28%, and interest payment to revenue is 12 to 13%, which is decent, which is under control. Okay. So there's not many fiscal slippages. Okay. Okay. Not any fiscal slippages. You understand fiscal slippages means where government is not able. So populism today, but higher borrowing cost tomorrow, but government is saying that it is not alarming right now. It's sustainable. And we have seen the numbers are also showing. And so the debt management strategy is very much planned and very much under control. Okay. So conclusion and outlook, we can see here, 2 slides left with us. So fiscal strategy, India's recent fiscal performance presented as carefully calibrated balancing act है भाई. किसका balancing between supporting economic growth and maintaining fiscal discipline. So that's really appreciable for the government, whether you like the current government or not, but numbers are showing great thing. And not just numbers, you see in your nearby areas, flyovers, construction, roadways, railways, metro, everything is built. Capex is there. Government reduced income tax. Government reduced GST. 2 slabs gone. Currently reducing repo rate to make everything affordable in terms of loans, etc. So you can read this again, the same things like same capital expenditure, debt reduction, etc. But the most important thing is that institutional credibility right now India is having. That's why we are attracting investors, we are attracting deals with other countries. Other countries are struggling. If you have heard the speech of EU leaders who came on the Republic Day and Mother of all these, etc., they said that when India is growing, मतलब गंगा में हाथ धोने जैसा है. So Europe also wants to be the part of that. That's a like hidden message that they have given. Okay. You write one line. I'll dictate one line to you. Okay. So this is how distortionary cross subsidy, everything I've explained. Okay. Now we'll go for Q&A session. Okay. One line you write. Are you ready? Just write ready. So one line you write it. The economic survey argues. Okay. You write. The economic survey argues. The economic survey argues that India's fiscal strength lies not merely in deficit reduction. The economic survey argues that India's fiscal strength lies not merely in deficit reduction, comma, but in the credibility, composition, composition and coordination of public finances across levels of government. Okay, so that's it for today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed, leave a comment. That will be my satisfaction. Okay. So I'll give you this PPT on the number given on the screen. You can take this PPT from me. Take care. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank